Well, good morning, everyone. It's a treat to be with you this morning. And we've been working with a series of lessons, and we're going to continue because they're still very apropos. It's amazing how, even with all the things that are going on in life and in the world today, these lessons are just universal and just so on in tune with what is really needed right now in many ways. And so our lesson is the meaning of grace. And comes from a work from this wonderful book, Fasting and Feasting. I don't know if you guys can see that. Don't have my picture up. Let me see where my picture is. Here we go. Oh yeah, you can see it. Great. You see my cosmic background? You guys like my cosmic background? Decided to levitate up above and kind of And this is actually also from Eric Butterworth's amazing work called Celebrate Yourself. And one of the things that we've been really looking at is an understanding of the meaning of grace in this week. And grace is an idea or a thought that goes through a lot of especially Christian teachings. But there's a limited idea about what grace is. And grace kind of implies in many traditional teachings that some people have it and some people don't. That some people are in the grace of God and some people are not in the grace of God. And I'm going to suggest to you that actually negates the real understanding of what God really is. Because if we understand that there really is only one presence and one power in this universe, there's absolutely no way that anybody can be absent from God as grace. And so grace is something that's universal, and it's something that applies to each and every one of us. Eric Butterworth says that a few words in Christian theology are used more or understood less than grace. What does it mean, and how does it work in our lives? Though this word has been wrapped in mystery, it is really a very simple explanation of the natural flow of the creative process in the individual. And so why are you favored as a child of God? Simply because you are God expressing Him, herself as you. And why is your hand favored as a part of your body? Because it is your body expressing as a hand. And thus the hand not only has strength, but also feeling and tenderness. And so one of the things that we're looking at is an understanding of grace. And he goes on to say that grace explains the inadequacy of the idea of karma, the endless cycle of cause and effect. It is true that as you sow, so do you reap. Yet, God's desire to express completely through you and as you is so great that you never completely reap the harvest of error, and you always reap more good than you sow. This is grace. And so in a very real sense, in Unity's understanding of grace, grace is really one of the things we always say, that there's really only one presence and one power in the universe, in this place, and in our lives, God, the absolute good. And so that's an awareness that God and the creative process that works in and through us ultimately is always absolute good. Another term that I like that comes really from more of a Hindu tradition is an understanding of God as absolute benevolence. I like that term, that word benevolence, because to me it implies not only love and good, but it implies in a sense an action of goodness. It's not just good in an abstract sense. It really is the awareness that there is a principle and a power that's always at work that ultimately will manifest as some benevolent experience in life. Well, that's challenging for us to see. Oftentimes, it's challenging for us to see during this time. You know, I'm not in a place where I'm willing to say that, you know, all of the people who are suffering from the coronavirus are experiencing good. But the thing that I am absolutely convinced of is what Scripture tells us, and that is that all things work together for good. And so ultimately, I do believe that there is a good that is working out through what really seems like difficulties and trials and tribulations. You know, Jesus said, "Be of good cheer. In the world, you have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world." And so it's important for us to begin to really understand that there is a presence and a power that is at work in all life circumstances that is beyond the worldly circumstances. And the presence and the power is innately within each and every one of us as spiritual beings. And so we have the absolute power of determining how we are going to participate and respond to whatever is going on out here. And so we're being called forth to come up a little bit higher in terms of our thinking, in terms of our feeling, in terms of our awareness, in terms of our energy, and not get bogged down into the appearances and the drama and the challenges that are going on in circumstances out in the world, but to be instruments of a creative power that is actually then forcing us or encouraging us or moving us into using the unlimited power of spirit that is in the very heart of us to begin at this moment, right here and now, to create something new and different. And so we are either participating in the difficulties and the challenges that are going on and getting caught up in the anxiety and fear of that, or we are being a light in the world to share a greater possibility of good that can and will and is coming forth even right now. You know, Julie and I recently saw the wonderful movie about Mr. Rogers, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and it was a great movie. If you have not seen that, it's really a very good movie. Good awareness, good. And one of the things that Mr. Rogers, I remember seeing, is that his mother always told him whenever there was difficulties in the world, that there were big things going on, always look for the helpers. Always look for the helpers. To me, going through this experience, you can really pay attention to all of the fear and the drama and the catastrophizing and all of the things that are trying to help us, trying to create even more anxiety and fear, or we can begin to look at those who are coming out of themselves and coming beyond their everyday normal kind of experience to really reach out and to be a neighbor. One of my good friends I spoke to recently, he lives in New Mexico, and he was sharing with me that, you know, since all of this is starting to come about, that they have neighbors that are living across the street that they really didn't know. They basically said hi to and waved at and that sort of thing. They've really not met them yet. And because they just moved there not recently. But this young couple came over to them and basically said, look, you know, we know that you guys are here. If there's anything that we can do to help you, you let us know. And I've heard several stories like this of people just reaching out and saying, look, you know, if you need something, I'm here for you. And we want you to know that that's the kind of energy and kind of spirit that I am absolutely convinced that this community has. And so one of the things that I want to throw out here as a possibility, we've been looking at for some time, creating an online directory of our membership. And so be aware that we'll be sending out an email coming out soon, so that you can be willing to list yourself on the directory so that you can reach out to others and they can reach out to you, so that we can actually be more connected in spiritual community, even though it may be virtually. It's, the reality is, we are ultimately not separated, not even, even though we are, they call it social distancing, but it's not really a good term, because we're really not socially distancing. We're physically distancing, and there's a value in that. And I encourage us to really, be conscious of that, and that this is one of the ways that we can actually kind of help in this situation. But at the same time, I think it's so important for us not to feel like that we are disconnected, and to make sure that we do those things that help us to really stay connected with each other, and to really support each other through these times of opportunity for growth. Every difficulty and challenge ultimately is an opportunity for growth. And one of the things that really came to me, and actually Julie shared this with me from Eckhart Tolle, that really spoke to me about that, is that because we are now often, I'm not sure that everyone is, but I know that those here locally in Austin, that we're being asked pretty much to stay home and not gather in large groups, and not gather in groups of more than 10. So therefore, we're doing this online, and we actually have now 34 participants in our wonderful service this morning. And the thing about that is that this is, in some ways, causing us to really kind of not just separate ourselves from each other, but to turn within to something greater. And let me read to you this wonderful little poem from Eckhart, from Meister Eckhart, who's one of my great teachers. Meister Eckhart was a 13th century mystic, and he says, spirituality is not to be learned by flight from the world, by running away from things, or by turning solitary and going apart from the world. Rather, we must learn an inner solitude, wherever or with whomsoever we may be. We must learn to penetrate things and find God there. And so this is a beautiful awareness that even though we are separated physically by this experience, not only are we staying connected to each other through this, but we also are invited to really reconnect and to deepen our connection with the source of our being, with Spirit. And Eckhart Tolle was sharing a parable, and the parable is one that Jesus gave us, about the man who built his house on a rock. And the winds and the waves came along and did not destroy it. But another man built his house with a foundation on sand. And so one of the things that the parable says is he dug deep down to the rock to build his house, and the person who built his house on sand didn't go deep down. He went more into a shallow kind of foundation. And this is really metaphysically and metaphorically speaking about us and our energy and our consciousness. Our house is our consciousness. And our consciousness, if it is based upon a true foundation of our oneness in Spirit, if it's based on a true foundation of this understanding of grace at the heart and the core of all experience and all being, our house then, our consciousness, is based on a foundation that can't be moved. Now, the world will tell you all different kinds of stories about how incredibly awful and everything is, and we can put our time and energy and our focus in that. And by doing that, we actually are helping to create more of that kind of fear, more of those kinds of worries, those kinds of anxieties in life. And we're really not adding an an experience and an awareness of the power of grace to this circumstance and situation, we're really kind of adding more fear into what's going on. And so what I really invite us all to do is to really pay attention to how we can allow ourselves to build our awareness, our energy, our consciousness on the one presence and the one power that is God, that is Spirit, right here and right now, in us and in each other and in our coming together. And that's our work for this week. I invite you to really consider how you might really deepen your connection with that presence and power through prayer, through meditation, through one of the things that I encourage and love to do is the tapping work, which research has actually shown it really reduces the cortisol in our bodies so that we are no longer experiencing the elevations of the stress hormone. And so really do those things that really take care of you and listen to what Spirit is guiding you to do to bring more light into this circumstance and into the situation, not only in your own life, but in the lives of others. Is there a way that you can reach out to someone either in our community or to someone that you know? Just let them know that you're there for them and you can connect with them. Learn how to do more of the online connection ways like Zoom and Skype and those sort of things, and then reach out to people and just help them to get a clear awareness of their power and presence in life. And let's have a ripple effect that goes not just around Austin, but notice around the world, that we're available to people just throughout our amazing Mother Earth, and see each and every one experiencing that upliftment of energy and vibration that really transcends all of the difficulties and troubles that the world is filled with, but we are not necessarily filled with. Let's fill ourselves up with light and be that light, and to raise our vibration and to help to raise the energy and vibration of all of those on our beautiful planet. That's our lesson for this week. That's been my lesson for this week. I wanted to share what was coming from me for this week, and I'm excited about the awareness that we're actually able to have 30-something people here connecting with each other on this beautiful platform. And so let's take a minute. We're going to have another song, and then we'll move into our meditation time. Just breathing into the heart space. Breathing in and out, we turn our hearts and minds to that one presence and one power that is here, that is now, that is absolute benevolence. We're open to knowing and feeling and experiencing that connection that we all have with that absolute benevolence. We're looking beyond the appearances, we're looking beyond the fears, the doubts, the worries, the concerns, and the cares of the world, and know that there is a part of us, just like in Jesus Christ, there is that divine nature within every one of us that overcomes all of the circumstances, all of the challenges, all the difficulties in the world. We may not know specifically how at this point, and how is not really our business. Our business is to really lay our foundation on the true knowing that we are grounded in spirit. We are grounded in life. We are grounded in love. We are grounded in wholeness. We are grounded in peace and power and dominion of our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, and through the power of dominion of our thoughts and feelings and emotions, we are focusing that energy and that light and that awareness into knowing that we are emanating health and life and wholeness in the thoughts and the feelings and the understandings of a vision of our world filled with that light elevating the energy and vibration to a level of wholeness and peace and health and life, not only for ourselves, but all of those around our world. We hold that image and that awareness, knowing that our dominion of our own thinking and feeling and emotional states is helping to raise the vibration of everyone on planet Earth, so that we are no longer living life through an energy of fear, but we are truly being a beacon to help and to move forward that healing power that is always and already present in the present moment. And so we allow ourselves to not be concerned about anxieties from the past or fears of the future, but to be present here and now, knowing that there really is only a benevolence here, which is the grace that is available to each and every one of us. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Blessed Spirit, for your light and presence and power here and now in us, in each other, in this coming together. And we see the amplification of spirit in our coming together and really multiplying the light and the beauty and the warmth and the health and the wholeness by connecting our awareness to an alignment with spirit, and through that alignment with spirit, a connection to each other and through each other and out into our world. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Blessed Spirit. And so it is. Amen. Take a nice deep breath now. Let your awareness come back into this chat room, into this space, into this place. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes and give thanks.